This last video is for people who want to make changes to the graphics but don't want to mess around with the code too much. Make sure that you've watched the first couple videos to get Anaconda installed and download Pygame and all of the files. We'll be working with the files for video 15. The code is the full game. You can just play the game from here and enjoy it as is. But the idea behind this is that we want to give you a platform to play around with making game graphics and seeing them implemented right away. So we're going to give a quick overview of how everything is organized, and then show you how you can make very minor modifications to the code to implement your own artwork. The main code is called forartists.py. This is a file you need to open in Spyder to run the game. Once you've opened it, you can simply press the play button at the top of the screen or press F5. You might get a pop-up window that asks you for information, but you can simply press the run button and not worry about any of that. If everything is installed correctly, the game should come up for you. The other files in the main folder are modules, which store code and run various elements of the game. You will also see that there are a couple of folders. All the graphics are stored in the IMG folder, and all the sounds are stored in the SND folder. You may also see a folder called PyCache, which is a folder that is automatically generated when you play the game. You can ignore that one. The various sounds and images are connected to specific modules. This diagram shows you where everything goes, though most of this is probably intuitive. The importance of this is that it lets you know where you need to look for the code and the files that you might need to change. And now that we know where everything is, it's time to talk about how to make changes. Let's say you wanted to update the graphics for the asteroid. The simplest way to do this is delete the asteroid images and replace them with your own images, and giving them the exact same name. You will need to make the background a pure black, and you will want to avoid using a pure black anywhere else in the image. The reason for this is that Pygame is treating black as a background color, and so it's not going to draw any of the black pixels. You can use other really dark colors that aren't full black, and that will be fine. You will also want to make sure that your images are close in size to the originals, because they are placed directly into the game screen without any rescaling, and very large images might alter the gameplay in unwanted ways. If you wanted to update the code so that you can change the names of the files, you can do that. First, you would put the images in the image folder. The code has special comments that are surrounded by this special notation. This lets you know that these are instructions to alter the sounds or graphics for the game. Inside of each comment block, you will also see some instructions that will help you to make the appropriate edits. For example, in the asteroid.py file, you can see these instructions. If you wanted to make a medium-sized asteroid graphic and have 3 types of asteroids, you would simply add that file name to the list. This will be somewhat of a pattern recognition game, as you're going to need to recognize details such as the file names being inside of quotes. Pay attention to the colors of the letters for clues if it's not working right. The probes and spaceship have 2 frames of animation. If you wanted to make fancier animations, it will require a few more steps. Let's say you're adding to the probe animations. After you've placed the images in the IMG folder, you're going to need to add additional lines of codes to load the graphics, and then also add the animation into the probe class. If you want to make the animation run faster, you can reduce the number of frames that pass before it changes to the next image. There are other changes that you can make, but that will require some more advanced programming. For example, you could update the laser to a graphic, but you're going to need to create your own code to load the graphics and then display them. The code will look very similar to how other graphics are loaded, and so you have a starting point already set up for you. But you may also need to go back and watch the corresponding videos in this series to bring the pieces together. And that should be enough to give you a starting point for playing around with the graphics. Remember that the goal is to have fun and try things out, so don't be afraid of tweaking random bits of code just to see what happens. And if you've changed the graphics, you might want to consider looking into the display module so that the attract mode screen reflects your contribution. Good luck and have fun!